There are nights when your thoughts sound louder than thunder, even in a silent room. You lie still, body exhausted, mind sprinting through every possible mistake, memory, and unspoken sentence. To others, you seem calm, maybe even composed. But inside, you're managing 1,000 conversations that never end. You call it overthinking. Your nervous system calls it survival. Somewhere long ago, stillness stopped feeling safe. Quiet moments weren't peaceful, they were the space before something went wrong. So your mind learned to stay alert, to analyze, to predict, to protect. Every what if became a shield against the unknown, a way to feel one step ahead of disappointment. But the truth is, you're not trying to think more, you're trying to feel less. Thought became your shelter because emotion once burned. You confuse control with safety and silence with danger. Yet even as your thoughts exhaust you, part of you still believes thinking harder might finally make the pain make sense. Overthinking isn't a flaw. It's your mind's way of saying, "I'm scared to stop." You didn't become an overthinker by accident. You became one by necessity. As a child, you learned that love could vanish with a sigh, that anger could rise without warning, that comfort was something to be earned, not expected. So you began to study the room like a scientist. Every expression, every pause, every tone shift. You memorized the rhythm of moods so you could step in before storms began. You thought it was intelligence. It was survival. Each question you asked yourself, did I do something wrong? Are they upset? Wasn't overanalyzing. It was your nervous system scanning for danger. When affection depended on your performance, prediction became your form of love. You learned to anticipate instead of trust, to manage instead of receive. This constant alertness rewired your sense of safety. Even when no one is angry now, your body still listens for footsteps that never come. You find yourself apologizing too quickly, explaining too much, preparing for disappointment that isn't even here. Hypervigilance was your first superpower. It kept you safe, but as an adult, it keeps you scared. You didn't grow up curious, you grew up careful. And that's a wound that still whispers through your thoughts. Every overthought sentence hides a trembling question. What if I lose control? What if I'm wrong? What if they leave? You've built an empire of logic to keep chaos from touching you again. Each mental replay, each silent argument, is your mind trying to outrun a memory. The moment you felt powerless and alone. You learned early that mistakes came with punishment, that being too much or not enough could shift love's direction. So you became cautious, rehearsing every possibility before it could hurt you. It isn't just thinking, it's guarding. You confuse preparation with safety, when really it's the body remembering fear that was never soothed. You want to be calm, but calm feels like exposure. You crave rest, but rest feels like risk. The loop continues. Think, doubt, prepare, repeat. Because the moment you stop, the buried terror surfaces. Overthinking is what happens when your body remembers fear, but your mind refuses to feel it. And so, your thoughts become your armor. Heavy, suffocating, but familiar. You don't to fear failure. You fear the feeling of being unprotected when it arrives. You believe that if you think hard enough, you'll stay safe. That if you analyze every word, every outcome, every silence, you'll finally stop getting hurt. It feels responsible, even noble, to stay prepared. But preparation slowly became a prison. Your mind convinced you that control equals safety. Yet the more you control, the less alive you feel. Overthinking pretends to protect you from chaos, but it quietly becomes the chaos itself. You replay conversations, predict reactions, rehearse failures, all to avoid the sting of uncertainty. Still, life refuses to obey your mental scripts. People remain unpredictable, and peace never lasts. So you double down, mistaking anxiety for awareness. The cruel trick is this: your thoughts were never meant to manage pain. They were meant to process it. Instead, you use them to outrun it. You construct invisible walls, thinking you're building peace, when you're really fencing yourself off from living. What you call being prepared is often just being afraid in advance. You can't outthink what needs to be felt. And maybe control was never the answer. Maybe surrender is. You don't need to think your way to peace. You need to trust your way back to it. You wonder why you can make simple choices, why every decision feels like a test you're destined to fail. You rewrite messages, delay opportunities, replay moments long after they've ended. It's not that you don't know what you want, it's that peace feels suspicious. Chaos, after all, once meant safety. Your childhood training whispers that calm is just the pause before loss. So, you fill the silence with mental noise, dissecting every gesture, searching for invisible danger. You call it being careful, but it's a quiet form of self-betrayal. You exhaust yourself trying to avoid pain and, in the process, create it. Perfection becomes your permission to exist. You don't trust love unless you've earned it. You don't rest unless you've proven you deserve to. And in trying to control every outcome, you lose connection. Not because others pull away, but because your fear keeps you rehearsing instead of relating. It's not weakness that keeps you stuck. It's loyalty to an old survival map that no longer fits who you are. You are not indecisive. You re-protecting yourself from the life you've never felt safe enough to live. Your mind isn't broken. It is overstimulated by a body that never learned what safety feels like. When you grew up in emotional uncertainty, your nervous system memorized chaos as normal. So now, when life is quiet, it panics. Calm feels suspicious. Stillness feels unsafe. That's not overreacting. That's conditioning. This is why thinking never stops. The body is tense, so the mind keeps searching for danger to match the feeling inside. It's not that you need to think less. You need to feel safe enough to stop. Safety doesn't arrive in logic. It arrives in presence. Healing begins in small, consistent whispers to your body. You're okay now. You can exhale. Feel your feet on the floor. Notice your heartbeat slowing. Name what you feel instead of analyzing why you feel it. Every moment of grounded awareness tells your system that survival mode can rest. You can't heal a racing mind without calming the frightened body beneath it. Peace isn't found by silencing your thoughts. It is found by reminding your body it is no longer in danger. There's a kind of peace that doesn't demand you to earn it. It only asks you to slow down enough to notice it. For years, you filled silence with questions, analysis, and invisible rehearsals. But silence isn't empty. It's where your real voice begins. Start small. When your thoughts spiral, don't chase them. Write them. Journaling turns noise into language and language into release. Ask yourself, what am I feeling beneath this thought? You'll find that worry often hides softer emotions. Sadness, longing, love. When you name them, they stop fighting for your attention. Practice trusting pauses. Let a text stay unsent for a while. Let decisions breathe. Let your body finish a full exhale before answering. Quiet isn't a threat. It is your nervous system's way of remembering peace. The goal isn't to empty your mind. It's to let your mind rest inside your body. You are not abandoning responsibility. You are returning to rhythm. Stillness isn't the absence of life. It's the moment your soul finally catches up to you. What if you were never too much? Just too aware, too tuned in, too alive for a world that taught you to hide it. Overthinking isn't your curse. It's sensitivity misused. It's the same awareness that once kept you safe, now waiting to be reimagined as empathy. The same mind that dissected danger can now discern beauty. The same heart that feared rejection can now recognize truth. When you stop fighting your depth, you discover it's your greatest gift. You see what others miss. The tremble behind a smile, the pain beneath laughter, the hope inside heartbreak. Your overactive mind becomes a lens for compassion, not a weapon of self-doubt. You were never broken, you were adapting. And now that you no longer need to survive, you're free to feel, to think deeply without fear, to love fully without control. The heart that overthinks is also the heart that can understand. And when it finally feels safe, its thoughts become light.